The Jaguar Rebrand then. Well, the whole situation at Jaguar already had me wanting to make a video before the now infamous rebrand, but now it's almost impossible to ignore. Firstly, and most obviously, this has not been a successful launch of a new brand identity, certainly in terms of receiving an actual positive reception. I guess if you aren't interested in what form the feedback is, and you just want people talking about the brand, it has without question achieved that. But we have to at least imagine that Jaguar would prefer a positive response. The branding video itself is a peculiar mix of imagery which is completely misaligned with the current or now previous Jaguar brand values. It looks as though AI carried out the exercise and possibly came up with a generic marketing spiel too. However, for me at least, this isn't the biggest problem. The real issue is the apparent and complete abandonment of the brand's illustrious history. You see, not just happy with a new look, a new direction, a new design language, which many brands have carried out over the years, Jaguar seems to have deleted everything, all existing brand identity and history. You don't just rip everything up unless there is real trouble afoot. It is possible to reinvent a brand while still acknowledging and building upon its history. If Jaguar had kick-started the campaign with a few shots of some of the brand's most iconic models, moments before announcing that this is the start of something new, a new dawn for a new era, in an electrified future, I think more people could have got on board with this. Ultimately, it seems that Jaguar can't be successful in trying to build the British version of a BMW, Audi or Mercedes. And there is the incoming legislation which mandates electric power only for the sale of new cars, especially here in the UK and the EU. Whether or not you deem this to be the right path, at present it is the path that the legislation is taking us on. So they're betting the whole house on this shift, with the cost to engineer another generation of combustion-powered vehicles before the required change seemingly being too much, with too little chance of return, along with the potential benefit to be gained from making an earlier shift to a full EV lineup, leading Jaguar down the path of a fully electric range from 2026 onwards. The problem with this, however, is that if you look at the current marketplace, EVs and big expensive ones in particular aren't exactly enjoying huge market success. Jaguar are launching with a 4-door high luxury model, presumably in direct competition with the likes of the Porsche Taycan. That'll be the same Taycan that can currently be seen crashing down in value after a few short years due to the lack of demand. After a few teaser images, the full concept model has recently been unveiled at the Miami Art Week. Personally, I think a true judgment on any design can't really be made until I've seen the car in the flesh. However, there's no question that this car will receive a Marmite reception. The sharp lines and boxy nature sit at odds with the elegant flowing lines we've come to expect from a Jaguar. The side profile is, however, proportionately speaking, somewhat akin to a traditional front-engine GT car. Not actually as mould-breaking as suggested. The proportions and roofline are reminiscent of the E-Type, seemingly the only piece of history that Jaguar is willing to acknowledge. Funny thing, a huge long bonnet actually harks back to a past whereby there was a need to house a large engine. The mould-breaking part of electric power is supposed to be the ability to free up traditional thinking in terms of packaging and therefore the proportions of the vehicle. In the end, what we're left with is something with a more traditional GT car proportions, coupled with this modern minimalist styling, along with the so-called exuberant branding. It's difficult. Jaguar are clearly trying to rip up their traditional roots, but in doing so, they're almost falling into an expected design language. What would be the opposite of subtle, elegant curves and a nod to the brand's heritage? Sharp, boxy, squared-up lines. But here we are, and I'm sure the concept will at the very least keep the brand in the automotive discourse over the coming weeks. And ultimately, the future success of Jaguar can't be decided yet, even after this big rebrand. So instead, let's take a further look into what Jaguar are turning their backs on and highlight why this is, for a great many of us, a strange choice at best. Jaguar's story begins in 1922 with the founding of the Swallow Sidecar Company in Blackpool, England, by William Lyons and William Walmsley. Originally focused on crafting motorcycle sidecars, the company shifted to producing elegant car bodies in the late 1920s. By 1935, the first Jaguar-named car, the SS Jaguar 100, debuted, combining sleek design with exceptional performance. After World War II, the company rebranded as Jaguar Cars Limited to distance itself from the SS initials, marking the start of a legendary era in automotive history. In the 1950s, Jaguar cemented its reputation for innovation and performance, particularly on the racetrack. Models like the C-Type and D-Type dominated motorsport, winning the 24 Hours of Le Mans 5 times between 1951 and 1957. This success carried over to road cars, with the XK120 earning fame as the world's fastest production car. In 1961, Jaguar introduced the E-Type, a revolutionary sports car blending breathtaking design, cutting-edge engineering and accessibility. Enzo Ferrari himself described it as the most beautiful car ever made, and it remains a symbol of Jaguar's legacy. This is just part of what Jaguar appear to be turning their backs on. Through the late 20th century, Jaguar introduced luxury sedans like the XJ series in 1968, which became a flagship model for decades. However, the company still faced challenges, becoming part of British Leyland in the 1970s before being acquired by Ford in 1990. Ford modernised production but still struggled to revive Jaguar's glory until the brand was sold to Tata Motors in 2008. Under Tata, Jaguar experienced a renaissance with modern classics like the F-Type, the XC, XF and XJ models, blending heritage with innovation. Perhaps Jaguar will acknowledge the brand's history going forward from here, but at the moment, the campaign very much distances itself. Jaguar's journey so far is a testament to British engineering and style. Hopefully some of what has brought the brand such recognition over the years, as well as a loyal fan club, won't be entirely lost in the near future. But for now, as car fans, and what would formerly be called petrol heads, we can't help but worry as to what will become of one of the most iconic British brands. Thanks for watching.